Good morning, I'm Peter Milios from the Finance News Network. Stocks rose Thursday as traders combed through the latest batch of corporate earnings and fourth quarter gross domestic product that came in above expectations. The US economy lodged better than expected growth in the final quarter of 2022, even as the Federal Reserve's aggressive campaign to raise borrowing costs began to weigh more heavily on business activity. The world's largest economy expanded 2.9% on an annualized basis between September and December. Focus now shifts to next week's Federal Reserve policy meeting, where the central bank is widely expected to announce a 25 basis point increase as it battles high inflation. Investors will be on the lookout for clue into how much further the Fed intends to hike before it cuts rates. Markets were relatively flat in the US during the Australia Day holiday. Overnight, the Nasdaq Composite jumped 1.8%, the Dow Jones Industrial Average traded 0.6% higher, while the S&P 500 added 1.1%. A mixed earnings season trudged on, with strong results from Tesla giving the tech-heavy Nasdaq and electric vehicle stocks a boost. Tesla CEO Elon Musk said that thus far in January, the company has seen the strongest orders year to date in its history, added that it is seeing orders at almost twice the rate of production. He also noted demand for Teslas will remain strong despite a likely contraction in the broader auto market. The results cap a wild, uneven year for Tesla. The stock price sank 65% last year, wiping out about $685 billion in market value, amid investor concerns about a global economic slowdown, the end of cheap car financing, and a loss of market share in key markets like China. Shareholders also worried whether Musk would sell more of his stake in the car maker to prop up Twitter. But Tesla pointed to its results as proof that it's pursuing a successful strategy. It reported $3.7 billion in profit and $21.3 billion in car sales for the quarter. Shares in Tesla closed up 10%. And the EU has asked European banks to accelerate funding for critical minerals suppliers, urging European financiers this week to provide more funding to suppliers of minerals needed for the energy transition, as the European Union prepares its Green Deal industrial plan. The EU is expected to unveil its Critical Raw Materials Act on March 8 to secure the block supply of critical raw materials, including lithium, cobalt, nickel, manganese, and graphite needed for electric vehicles. All S&P 500 sectors, except for consumer staples, finished higher in last night's trading session. Energy was the standout, however, up 3.3%. And there's no end in sight for big oil's cash bonanza. When the Western super majors report their earnings over the next couple of weeks, the top 5 producers, ExxonMobil, Chevron, BP, Shell, and Total Energies, are expected to unveil a record-smashing $200 billion in combined profits for 2022, underscoring the scale of the windfall after Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine. Oil producers have led the market for 2 straight years after a decade of underperformance and are, so far, up this year too. It will be interesting to note how much of the big oil profits will be dedicated to their green projects outside of buybacks and higher dividends. The US is Washington's new incentives for renewables, hydrogen, biofuels, and carbon capture in the Inflation Reduction Act will only accelerate big oil's acquisitions in the energy transition space. The SPY futures are pointing to a 0.4% gain. Thank you for listening.